On today's show,
we debate whether Draymond Green should be suspended for kicking Steven Adams in the Kiwis.
the Bone Zone
is back!
Brett Barry returns from the road to discuss the teams he's seen up close.
His name is Jonas. Could the Raptors center return tonight for Game 4 versus the Cavs?
It's Monday, May 23rd. The starter starts now.
Good evening, Sweet World! And thanks for tuning in to the starters. Whether you're listening to the podcast or catching us on NBA TV or a little bit later on YouTube, we're happy to have you. I'm J.E. Skeets, and alongside me, as always, that's Tess Millis.
You know what they say, a playoff series doesn't start until someone's kicked in the groin.
That's right. To his right, it's the international man of mystery taking it to the max, Lee Ellis.
Friend.
Lily.
Lily, and last, certainly not least, over there, starters blog editor, Trey Kirby.
Hey-o!
Hey-yo! TK, what do you got?
Guys, I'm here at the internet looking for your best tweets at #thestarters, and like you heard in headlines, Brett Barry is back! Woo! After more than a month away, the Bone Zone has returned, and while we certainly missed having Brent here in studio, we loved having him call games because that guy's got puns for days.
Bismarck, the throwdown.
Great job just scrapping for the ball, and then the ability to rise up to infinity. And Biyombo, smooth sailing as Dragic tries to grab his shorts. Too late. Powell to the people.
Not bad at all. But it's not just the Raptors in the playoffs. There are 15 other teams too, which brings us to today's question. What playoff puns did Brent Barry miss? For instance, if he were calling a Pacers game with Ian Eagle and Jan Mahinmi did something interesting, he could say, just Maheen you and me, Ion.
Oh.
Yawn isn't my preferred pronunciation. Or on a rare Goran Dragic breakaway slam, what if he dropped, it's just another Dragic dunk day? Or finally, if Draymond Green gets into yet another fight, what if he said, the players are like that one sitcom, everybody shoves Draymond? Horrible, I know, but that's why Brett Barry said, we want to hear from you though, so hit us up on Twitter at #thestarter. Let us know what other playoff puns Brent Barry missed. These have to be for playoff players. And then Bones is literally going to judge them a little bit later, so should be exciting.
All right, get your tweets in, get your puns in. And by the way, all puns are both horrible and amazing at the same time.
50-50 split.
That's how puns work. We'll also talk to Jared Greenberg on tonight's show live in Toronto, getting us ready for Game 4 between the Cavs and the Raptors. But first, the Thunder handed the Warriors their worst playoff loss of the season last night. Kevin Durant scored 33 points. Russell Westbrook added 30. OKC routed the defending NBA champs 133-105 to seize the lead in the Western Conference Finals Series. Thunder have the 2-1 advantage in the best of 7. But look, all anyone's talking about today is whether Draymond Green's kick to Steven Adams' groin was intentional and whether he should be suspended. As of this very second, the NBA still hasn't decided. I like to think they're doing tests on one another, actually kicking them in the groin. But the question here, Tess, should the NBA suspend Green for kicking Steven Adams? What do you think? Because everyone seems to have an opinion on this.
I don't think they should have. I think he flopped, and I think this speaks more to the epidemic of flopping in the NBA because guys kick all the time, especially Draymond Green. He kicks all the time. He got grabbed, and to sell it, he did a lot of that, and he kicked. Whether or not it was reckless, I think, is an entirely different talk because it was reckless, and they have to crack down on this recklessness. Sure, but I don't think he intentionally tried to hit him.
I don't think he intentionally tried to, but he did connect it with him, and I think they will suspend him for a game. And I think largely because they had to suspend Dante Jones the night before. And if they suspend one guy for a shot to the groin and they don't suspend another guy, an all-star, a likely all-NBA, I think that does send a message that different players get different treatment.
But Dante Jones wasn't fouled. That's
doesn't
different.
matter, though. It doesn't matter.
It has to. Come on, a punch when you're not fouled rather than an act of getting hit and something happening because this happens quite frequently. I think it's different than a guy punching somebody.
No, because he's still connecting with that same area, and I think that's what overshadows everything else. Whether or not it's Dante Jones with 10 seconds to go in the game or Draymond Green driving for a lane, he's reckless, as you mentioned, and I don't think that should cover you. I think you have to still pay for recklessness on the court. And I mean, you saw Steven Adams. He dropped straight away. He wasn't trying to sell anything himself.
My biggest problem with this, whether you're not, like you're saying, like he does do this, and we've seen clips, I know, that Draymond's always flailing, and it's not just Draymond, a lot of guys in the league are, but my problem is if you didn't mean to do it, if you didn't intentionally mean to hit a guy in the groin, and even if, let's say, it was a headshot or something, usually, and even when you're playing pickup basketball, if you don't mean to do something, you immediately go, hey, whoa, sorry. Sorry, didn't mean to kick you there.
Because he didn't apologize?
Yeah, isn't that a little strange?
No.
Why?
It's playoff basketball.
Every time I've ever seen someone else kick someone by accident, let's say this was by accident, you usually just go, whoa, I'm sorry.
Yeah, but basically nobody knows what's going on here, right? Everybody turns and kind of gets ready to go to the free throw line, even Draymond.
A guy hunched over grabbing his
one
kiwis,
guy-
I have an idea what happened.
Yeah, but nobody else is reacting to it until he's down on the ground, whereas Draymond's just turning right around to go back to the free throw line. Everybody else is kind of like, okay, something happened. What happened here? And then obviously things get slowed down and we see what's up.
Yeah, they heard a whistle and no one really knew if the foul was going to be an offensive foul or a foul on Steven Adams. I think that's part of that reason. And again, when you're in a playoff situation, tight game, a tense situation, tense series, I think sometimes, even if things are unintentional and there is a hit to the head or wherever, I don't think players are quite as friendly. I think there's a little bit more like, you know what, no friends on the court type of mentality.
Yeah, I think we are reacting to it a little retroactively. We don't see the hit and then we wait for it. No, we're just seeing the kick. We're seeing the kick to the groin. But what happens when a guy flops is he's trying to get a call. That happened. Draymond Green does it. Russell Westbrook does it. And so, yeah, we see this still image of the shot right up to the groin. And it's reckless. I'm not saying it's not. But Russell Westbrook said that Draymond Green did it on purpose, but he's part of the superstar group that started all this acting in the NBA. I didn't, so I sold the call. Flopping is a problem in the league. You see it quite often. Draymond, blaming Russell Westbrook, whatever you want to call this, it happens with the superstars of the league. I think that's pretty apparent. Draymond Green does this. This is from earlier this year. This is from earlier in the postseason. These high kicks that no one talked about. Russell Westbrook, also a culprit of kicking. Steve Kerr mentioned that he does it on every three-point shot. This is from a couple of years ago in the postseason, and this is from last night. This one isn't as blatant, but that is exactly what they're trying to do. They're trying to get a call.
But just because Draymond never kicked someone in the groin previously doesn't justify him getting someone in Game 3. That doesn't make any, that to me doesn't add up. So what you're saying because he does it all the time?
He wasn't trying to hurt him. Yeah, because it's a thing that happens in the league.
Why does intent really matter? Does that matter?
But this happens in the league all the time.
It's like when you see guys wrap guys up and they don't mean to hit someone in the head. But if you do make contact with the head, you have to go and review it. And if that's reckless, then you have to pay for that as well.
Look, we have, it sounds weird to say, but a storied example or database of guys getting hit in the groin, either punches or kicks. And a lot of the time, it's a one-game suspension.
In the regular season. Not in the postseason.
We just saw Dante Jones get one for a one-game suspension.
No, these that we're showing you here are all regular season. Playoffs are different because everything changes in the postseason.
Yeah, but they shouldn't be different.
What changes about a guy kicking a guy in the groin?
Because how often do you see suspensions handed out in the postseason?
Just for the record, all three of you guys were down on James Harden being suspended for this when it happened last year.
That one, okay, that is fair. The Wade one I do remember, it was like Kobe Bryant in 2007. He was always flailing his arm and he caught Ginobili in the face once, he caught Marko Jaric. And at some point, the league says, okay, I know you're always doing it, but now you're starting to hit guys. It's dangerous, it's reckless, so we got to give you a game. They did it to Kobe Bryant, so they did it to Kobe.
In the regular season. I think the playoffs those are all regular season examples. The postseason are different. There's way more physical play in the postseason. It happens. Yeah, we have to deal with flopping in the league. That's 100% true. But that's why you upgrade it to a flagrant 2 or do what you got to do, fine him so it's on notice. But this is the postseason.
Yeah, but I don't think that should be any reason. I mean, if you kick a guy in that area, whether it's playoffs or not, the punishment should be the same. And if they're going to be consistent, as you showed with those other three guys getting suspended, I think, and with Dante Jones the night before getting a game, I think the league has to give him a game just for consistency.
I think Dante Jones is definitely different. And also, I don't want this storyline to be, Draymond Green didn't play one game. That's why the Thunder won. I think the Thunder want him to play, and they don't need any help at all.
Well, that is fair, and what's going to happen if we do find out that he doesn't get suspended is people are going to say, oh, the league, they just want to keep this interesting. They want both teams at full health. So, I mean, whatever the verdict is, half the people are going to be upset. But anyway, we got to take a break. When we return, Bones is back with some puns. Don't go anywhere.
Great job just scrapping for the ball, and then the ability to rise up to infinity, and Biyombo over top of Amar'e Stoudemire.
Back with the starters into the bone
You
zone.
caught me tucking my wire in there.
Yeah.
Hasn't there been enough talk about the midsection?
Yeah. Lee just kicked him during the break.
Didn't mean it though, Bones.
Lee was surprisingly gentle.
Welcome back.
Great to see you guys. Man, what a whirlwind out on the road covering some games. It was a lot of fun. I missed you guys. You had some surprise guests in.
Yeah.
We sure
You
did.
really raised the bar big time.
We had a dunk champion. Oh, well.
Yeah.
Another dunk champ.
I know.
Yeah.
Vince Carter
And of
coming
course,
through.
one of your own, Toronto Raptor legend,
Yeah.
Vince Carter. How awesome was that for you guys to have him in here? That was great.
I've never smiled more.
It's true. You haven't stopped. You haven't stopped.
Maybe true. As we come in there, we heard your to Infinity and Beyond pun.
Yeah.
You were
Yeah.
dropping some mad puns
Well-
throughout the broadcasts. What take us through your process? How does it happen?
I hope that you guys know me well enough at this point. We've known each other for quite some time. That going out and having a chance to do the games, first, it's a genuine thrill to be asked to do that. It's just such a rarefied position. And I love the game. I love to dig deep into the numbers and study what guys are doing. But I also try to do the game as if we're having a chit chat.
Right,
And
right.
I don't think there's any other way than to try to be yourself, or the best way you can present yourself. And being cheesy and punny is the best. It's the best way I can present myself. So that is part of what I like to do. And then working with Ian Eagle, who's really as dry as any desert in the world, trying to outwit one another, I think was a lot of fun. And hopefully people enjoyed that part of it. But still, it's always about the game.
Oh no, I can speak for all of us. We were loving the puns, and at the top of the show, actually, we shared some of your best ones, the Biombo one, Powell to the people, and stuff like that. But we asked the Twitterverse out there, Twitter Nation, what playoff puns did you maybe miss? And I guess we have a few suggestions here, Trey.
Yeah, can't cover all the games, but I've got a lot of tweets here. One comes from Gareth. He says, on the Hornets' chances in the playoffs, you got to be Jeremy Linnet to win it. What you think, Bones?
That's not bad.
Okay.
I'm going to leave it there. That's not
He would have gone with like a Jeremy Pearl Jam for sure.
Definitely. I really like this one from Ryan about Dwayne Wade. He's been Dwayning threes this postseason.
Well, we like to say that about Wayne Ellington, who plays for the Nets. We always say making it Wayne whenever he's knocking down threes. So kind of that one's taken a little bit.
Okay, fair enough. This one from Liam's great. The Raptors are losing because their field goal percentages are too low-y, and DeMar is defrozen.
That is a bit of a yoga stretch right there. Can't go that far. Although in the Raptors series when they won Game 7, I think I said something along the lines of Raptor fans just saw a new dinosaur. I can't believe I just saw us win this series. Which people enjoyed that one.
That one was rough.
I mean,
Bad?
They loved it.
Yeah, unless he came up with that one, I don't know.
Here's a fitting one for today from Yell. Simply Draymond Groin.
I like that. Actually, talk to Dennis Scott about how you say the word groin. You'll hear it in a way you've never heard the word. Do you guys know what I'm talking about?
No.
When you talk to 3D, ask him to say groin.
Okay.
You'll enjoy it.
And one more.
Our final one from James. Every time there's a solid play, Bones could say, that was Lee D-Ellis-licious. You talk about a yoga stretch.
Yeah, that one's too tough.
Maybe a Summer League one.
You don't know all
Summer League Challenge. We'll do that for
Okay,
Summer League
great.
Challenge, which we
That's
enjoy.
great.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go.
All right.
It's been
I'm
said.
looking forward to Summer League because of this.
Let's talk a little ball here. I mean, you obviously saw a lot of these teams as you were bouncing around. 4 teams left. Unbelievable still to say that the Raptors are one of them. But
The others.
do you have a favorite to win it all right now from what you've seen throughout these playoffs, being up close and personal to some of the squads?
You know, given what the Warriors are going through right now, I think at the beginning of the season, I'd like to go back. We filmed some of the open court segments, and I believe at that time I talked about Oklahoma City being a team to watch out for and possibly winning the championship.
I remember that, yeah.
And all of the things that Oklahoma City was not representing for a good portion of the season, they seemingly have found their way in this year's playoffs. And I was just talking to Isaiah Thomas about this. The idea about San Antonio going down to Oklahoma City in that series prior to getting to the Western Conference Finals is such a confidence boost for this team to know that you can beat the Terminator. You know, to know that you can go through somebody who's robotic, is not going to beat themselves, that is going to capitalize on all your mistakes. For them to get over the mental part of that hurdle, knowing they can rely on what it is they represent physically. And make no mistake about it, this team athletically is better than any team in the league, and they're the best team of any of the 4 remaining in the playoffs. That this is the Oklahoma City team a lot of people thought is the most dangerous team that's out there, and they've been showing that in this series in the Western Conference Finals.
So you broadcasted their games in round 1.
Yeah, the
when
Dallas
they
series.
played Dallas.
Yes.
Did you see it then,
No.
or it took them to beat the Spurs, right?
Yeah, I don't think they saw it then. And
Right.
I think it was in the Spurs series for them to finally break through and find this bit of rhythm and this bit of confidence. Not only the belief in what Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant can do for you on a nightly basis, but about what Billy Donovan represents to this team. And there's been so much chatter. Yes, Scott Brooks did a great job with them. Billy Donovan's also done a remarkable job figuring out the tendencies of other teams, some of the ways to maneuver this lineup that he has that has some limitations with one-way players. I mean, let's face it, there aren't a lot of guys on that team where you're saying, waiters, play some defense. Not going to happen. Robertson, play some offense. Not going to happen. So he's managed this well against a historically great Golden State team to put him in this position. It's been remarkable to watch.
Absolutely. Before we let you go, Toronto treat you well? Fans out there?
Toronto, every fan base is great, but Toronto was spectacular. Enjoyed my time up there and enjoyed them celebrating what has been a historic season under Dwayne Casey.
Absolutely. Bones, great to have you back.
Yep. Thank you, guys.
Puns and all. Brent Barry, got to take a break. When we return, we'll head north of the border. Jared Greenberg joins us live from the 6 to get us ready for tonight's Game 4 between the Cavs and Raptors. Have you seen Jared's new intro?
I can't believe I saw it.
Bury that pun.
Tonight, the Cleveland Cavaliers will try to bounce back from their first loss of the postseason as they play Game 4 of the Eastern Conference Finals against the Raptors up in Canada. Tip-off, 8:30 p.m. Eastern on ESPN. And to help set up tonight's game, north of the wall, we turn to NBA TV's own Jared Greenberg. JD, drop the beat!
Jared Greenberg. Jared Greenberg. Jared Greenberg. Jared Greenberg.
Yes, it's just as good the second time. Jared, thanks for joining us.
Actually, I don't know about you, but I've listened to it about 5,000 times since it debuted.
That makes sense. It's actually skyrocketing up the singles charts we've heard, so
That's right.
I'm happy for you. All right, Jared, a few questions heading into Game 4 here tonight. As I said, the Cavs picked up their first loss against the Raps of the entire postseason in Game 3. How are they reacting from that first loss? What's their attitude like right now heading into Game 4?
Well, you wouldn't know that they're coming off of a loss, completely confident. In fact, yesterday, as I'm sure you guys have heard, Richard Jefferson proclaiming, "We are the South, and everything's going to be just fine." Today, a little bit of a different attitude as they prepared for game day at shoot-around. LeBron James, as confident as ever, saying, "I have my own game plan for tonight." One of those looks in his eyes where you think maybe he has the intention of taking over from the jump. And speaking of which, Tyronn Lue saying, we've got to be the one that sets the tone. We've got to be proactive and not be reactive to the Raptors being as physical as they were in Game 3.
Nice. Well, what's the latest update on Jonas Valanciunas, the injured Raptors center? Do we know whether he's playing tonight or what's he's listed as we head into this game tonight?
Well, he has been upgraded twice over the last 2 days. First from out to doubtful, and then within the last few hours from doubtful to questionable. Now, I've been told by a team source that Jonas Valanciunas really tried to play on Saturday night, and indeed he tried to talk his way in to being active. However, the medical staff and coaching staff did not allow that, and obviously he sat out once again. The feeling around here is that if Valanciunas had been available for the first 2 games, the margin of defeat wouldn't have been a total of 50 points. They definitely feel like they would have been a lot more competitive. However, it's a real severe ankle sprain, guys, and there is not much hope that Valanciunas would be even close to 100% if he would be able to give it a go. But still, they're going to let him go through shoot-around and see how his ankle feels, but still, as of now, listed as questionable.
All right, Jared, appreciate the update. Enjoy the game tonight. Make sure you get some poutine while you're up there, okay?
Oh, you know I will.
Okay, excellent. Well, look, it's listed as questionable, guys. Turn to you here. If he does return, whether he even starts, let's say he even comes off the bench tonight or maybe even Game 5, do you think him returning changes this series at all and the Raptors' chances of moving on?
I think it could change it for the negative if they start him. I think you definitely bring him off the bench, undoubtedly. You heard what Jared said about LeBron and the Cavs. After a loss, they're going to come out ready.
Yeah.
Bismack Biyombo needs to start at center because he's the better defensive center, number one. Number two, Jonas might not be 100%. How do you start him? I feel comfortable with him coming off the bench.
Right.
Because he is a threat and he can play against the second unit no matter what. But Bismack moves around so well. He guarded LeBron. He did so much. You don't change that.
If this sounds like if it was a regular season game, there's no way Valanciunas would be playing, but basically because their season's on the line, if he can give them any sort of lift off the bench, even if it's just a defensive presence there, because we know that the Cavs like to drive when Biyombo's not on the floor, maybe he can do that, but I wouldn't be expecting big minutes out of him, and even if he's on the court, I wouldn't be expecting him to have a huge impact.
Again, questionable as of now, Valanciunas, whether or not he'll play tonight, but I'm with you, Tess. Even if he sort of can go, the game that Biyombo just had in Game 3 with the 26 rebounds, all the blocks we just showed you, there's no way you take him out of the starting lineup, even if Valanciunas is good to go. We will see, though, not long until Game 4 up in Canada between the Cavs and the Raps. Got to take a break. But when we return, Lily with the very solid play. Don't go anywhere. Back at the starters, time for Lily's very solid play of the night. Lee.
Before the Warriors got drilled last night, Big Bogey delivered this beautiful pass to Draymond, and watch this for a nice, beautiful bounce pass and a left-hand layup. All those dunks we had last week, it's good to have a layup back in the rotation.
definitely.
Yeah,
Here it is again, Bogey just sees him, beautiful Draymond finish. That's what I call a very solid play.
That was his only make, wasn't it? Draymond?
Maybe, yeah.
It
He went
was.
1 for 9, yeah.
Now it's time for the highlight that wasn't. This is how much of a blowout this game was. Russell Westbrook coming down the break in the conference finals, going between his legs.
Woo!
Fancy schmancy. Randy Foye can't finish it. A beautiful look.
The eyes are amazing.
How dare you don't finish this, Randy? Randy!
Randy!
Either way, it's the highlight that wasn't.
Yeah.
You got to see it anyways.
Stuff. One game on tonight, guys. Game 4, Cavs-Raptors. Cavs lead the series 2-1, but Game 4 huge. Will Jonas Valanciunas be back for the Raptors, either starting, coming off the bench? We'll see at 8:30 p.m. Eastern on ESPN. Well, we still don't know if Draymond Green will be suspended for kicking Steven Adams in the
Nope,
Kiwis.
we're checking.
Everyone check your tweets.
Yeah.
I've got a great Wi-Fi signal.
Yeah?
Things are coming through.
Nothing.
Nothing.
Jokes over here.
Shea Serrano just hit 90,000 subscribers.
Congrats,
though,
Shea.
on his- yeah, so congrats to that. But
All right. Thanks for joining us, folks. And remember, if you're happy, life is short. But if you're unhappy, life is very long.
Brace the night, people.